everyone, let's learn about polynomials from class 10. Although we will be connecting a few topics from your 9th standard as well. But let us see what are our major topics of the class. First of all, we will be learning about polynomial and its types. Okay. Second one is geometrical meaning of its zeros, and third one is the relationship between zeros and coefficients. Let us start with polynomials. So first of all, let us see what polynomial is. Right. So polynomial is an algebraic expression, but with few criteria. In this, coefficients could be any real number, but the power of the variable has to be a whole number. Right. Now the terms in the expressions are connected by positive and negative operators. Now considering the classification of polynomials, polynomials are classified on two types. First type is the terms, and second one is the degree. Now, while considering the terms, polynomials is classified in monomial, binomial, and trinomial. In monomial, we have just one term. In binomial, we have two terms. And in trinomial, we have three terms. Considering the degree of the polynomial can be classified into three types considering the degree. Right? First one is the linear. Second one is the quadratic, and third one is the cubic. Considering the linear polynomial, the variable has power equals to 1. The highest degree of variable is 1. Considering the quadratic one, the power of the variable has to be 2. Right? Power of variable will be 2. And cubic has the power as 3. Right? Now one thing which we need to keep in mind is binomial and trinomial must have unique terms in it. Even if it has two terms or three terms considering binomial or trinomial, but the terms should be unique so that it could not be added or subtracted. Okay. Now coming to the degree of the polynomial, let us see what the degree of polynomial is. Degree of the polynomial is the highest power of the polynomial or an algebraic expression. Then we have the zeros of the polynomial. Let us take an example. First of all, in polynomial in the terms of x, if a is substituted in the polynomial such that p of a equals to 0, that means we can consider that a will be the zero of the polynomial. Right? I will be taking one example as well. Here, 3x plus 6 equals to 0. So what should I substitute in the place of 6 to obtain 0? That could be found out as x equals to minus 6 by 3, which will be negative 2. So we can say that negative 2 is the 0 of this particular polynomial. Okay. Then let us see the factorization. See, all these four topics which I am explaining you might have already learned in your 9th standard, right? But these are the continuation with respect to your 10th standard. Okay, so while factorization, I will be taking one example. Let me take an example x square minus x minus 6. If I need to factorize it, that means I need to find the zeros of the polynomial. Right? How do we factorize a quadratic polynomial? We have learned one technique in our 8th standard as well as in our 9th standard. That was the splitting the middle term. Now, for splitting the middle term, what do we need to do? First of all, we need to consider the constant term. We can see here the constant term is negative 6. We need to split the negative 6 in such a way that difference of it should be the middle term. Why? Now see, you might have captured one term which I used right now. Difference. Then why difference of it? We have to check the sign for the constant term. See, if the constant term is having negative sign, we will be doing the subtraction of the terms to obtain the middle term. And if the constant term has the positive sign with itself, we will be adding the terms so that we can obtain the middle term. Now considering the subtraction sign over here, I just find out the factors of 6 or negative 6 I might say. The factors of negative 6 are minus 6, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3. Now you need to pair these factors in such a way so that you obtain the middle term. What could it be? Can we take minus 3 plus 2? Right. So we'll be taking x square minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. Now let us take out the common factors from it. We can see that x is common, x minus 3 in the bracket, plus 2 is common, x minus 3 in the bracket. So from this we can see we are having x minus 3 and x plus 2 as our zeros. Right? X equals to 3 or x equals to negative 2. Right? So these are the zeros of the polynomial. Okay, so now let us see our next topic. Here we will be seeing the geometrical representation of zeros of the polynomial. We can see geometrical meaning as well. Now the very first polynomial is linear polynomial. What do we understand by linear polynomial? If a polynomial has the power of the variable is equals to 1. I am taking an example, ax plus b equals to 0. Now see, it's very much obvious, right? If we solve this ax plus b equals to 0, what root we get or what zero we get? We will be getting as x equals to minus b by a. If we solve the equation ax plus b equals to 0, what do we get? We get x is equals to minus b by a. Though we can see that we are getting only one root over here. So it's very obvious while plotting it on the graph, we will be getting one root, right? So from this we can see that linear polynomial has one root and it has one zero. Okay. Now considering the quadratic polynomial, quadratic polynomial will be represented as ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0. Now it's obvious we are getting two roots as it's the quadratic polynomial. So the graph will cut the x-axis at 2 points. Yeah, in the linear polynomial I am repeating a few points again which I missed though. See, if the root obtained is 1, right, which is minus b by a, so it will be cutting the x-axis at only 1 point. Maximum number of point is 1. While considering the quadratic one, it will be cutting the x-axis at maximum 2 numbers of point. See why I am specifying maximum 2 number of point? Because in few of the cases, it might be a problem and we are getting the same roots. Let's say if your root is positive 2, positive 2. So of course it will intersect at only 1 point, right? So in that case your graph would be something like this, right? Your graph would be something like this. It means 1 point it is intersecting. But maximum we can have two different zeros. So maximum number of point of intersection is 2 in quadratic polynomial. Now let us consider the cubic polynomial. If the polynomial is cubic, it will be having 3 zeros. So maximum number of intersection will be 3. Okay, this is 1, 2 and 3. Now coming to the most important topic, which is the names of these graphs. Ma'am, if it intersects x on one point, the graph will be the straight line. Whenever you see that there is a straight line, you have to assume that the polynomial will be linear. Second one, quadratic polynomial. Quadratic polynomial will be named as parabola. And the third one is cubic polynomial. The graph of it will be named as triangle. Okay. Remember this. This is the topic which is covered in your syllabus. This is really very important. Okay. Let us focus on the next topic. Now we have relationship between zeros and coefficient. Now please pay attention over here because this is a new topic which you might study in your 10th standard. Before this, all the topics are kind of not new to you. You might have studied that in your 9th standard as well as in 8th standard. Considering the relationship between zeros and coefficient, now if in a quadratic polynomial, see again, I am focusing just on quadratic polynomial and in your syllabus, they are just focused on quadratic polynomial. In a quadratic polynomial, if alpha and beta are the roots, they are just assuming the roots, right? It's not written anywhere that you have to take alpha and beta as a root. But let us take if alpha and beta are the roots, then the summation of zeros will be alpha plus beta is equals to minus b by a, and the product of zeros will be alpha beta is equals to c by a. Let me give you one example as positive 5. Focusing on the product of zeros, which is alpha beta. Alpha beta is c by a. Now c is 4 and a is 1. So we can just write 4. So the product of zeros is 4 and summation of zeros is 5. Right? This was one example based on the relationship. Now one last topic which we are going to focus on is the how to form a quadratic polynomial by sum and product of roots. See, now there is an equation or there is a relation, you can say x square minus summation of roots multiplied by x. See, summation of roots multiplied by x plus product of roots. Right? So here again alpha and beta will be your roots. What are we doing? X square minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta. Now questions might come in such a way that given that summation of roots is 6, product of roots is 10. This is just an hypothetical example. If you want to apply this in this particular relation, how will you apply? X square minus alpha plus beta, sum is equals to 6, 6x plus alpha beta, product is equals to 10, equals to 0. Right? So this will be a relation which you are expecting. I hope you all understood up to here. Up to here, I'll just repeat and brief out whatever we have seen. We have seen polynomials and its types, right? We have focused on degree. We have focused on zeros as well. Then geometrical meaning of zeros. We have focused on linear, quadratic,